welcome to Gadsby's England at the Euros. Well, what a dramatic day it's been. If you're Welsh, fantastic performance from Wales to virtually guarantee themselves a place in the second round after that 2-0 victory over Turkey. Without further ado, though, I mean, he's one of my favourites. We've been together a long, long time. It's time to bring in Carlos.
How we doing?
There it is. Oh, mate, it's been too long.
I know it's been a long while.
How have you been during lockdown, mate?
Very good. Yeah, obviously a bit frustrating with the limitations on travel, but no, it's starting to get better, isn't it?
It's starting to get better. Yeah, I think you know, and the football is sort of cheering everybody up so much, isn't it? It's
absolutely, yeah. It's given everybody a lift, especially today, of course. What we've just watched. Oh my goodness!
I was just talking to our lovely audience about that. What a game that was! Game of the tournament, in my opinion, so far.
I think so, yeah. Mainly because it was just so engaging. You were on edge throughout, yeah. And I've really got to give massive congratulations to Wales. What a result, but what a performance to go somewhere like that and deliver that performance under that pressure. Incredible.
Incredible. And I mean, you know, amazingly, it looks like they are the first team virtually confirmed to be in the second round before anybody else. I mean, it's incredible, their Euros record, isn't it? I mean, do we put that down to Bale and Ramsey? They seem always to be at the spearhead of anything Wales do.
Well, I mean, it certainly helps having two world-class players rather than one, you know, in terms of the opposition, because, you know, you've got another threat to think about. But also, you've got to say the way Wales played tonight in terms of organisation, how compact they were, pressing at the right moments, sitting deep at the right moments. I mean, the way they synchronised their defence really limited Turkey to minimal opportunities, really.
It's late, but it's here. Euro 2020 and 2021. And Gadsby's England is still the place to come for all your England news throughout the tournament. Follow the drama, the ups and the downs. You know there's going to be plenty of them. Euro 2020 on Gadsby's England. I think, you know, the England fan obviously, you know, has that worry, you know, always we have that fear, that, you know, deer in the headlights factor. But, you know, one thing that I've been hearing about this England team is that they have less fear than many of the England team squads that we've had before. Now, whether this is just convenient for the journalists to be saying this at the moment because, you know, things seem to be going well, I don't know. But I think there is something in that. I've noticed the difference in them. They're not of that generation, not burdened in the same way that perhaps other England teams have been. You know, these are the sort of post-2000, if you like, or born, you know, close enough to 2000. And there does seem to be something a bit different to them where they don't have that fear. I mean, I think Southgate takes a lot of credit there. But, I mean, do you see that this time? Do you see that they're perhaps a different mentality there that's been, you know, much better? I'm just going to light my face a little bit there. With this particular generation, this squad.
We've got a younger team, certainly. And like you say, they're not burdened with the past or necessarily the expectations. We've gradually got better and better over time. We've got some really good young players who've been well schooled in international football already from an early age, which does help a lot. And also, I think people are more realistic. I mean, I think anybody would probably say that if every side in the tournament plays to its full potential, France, I can't see beyond them. I think they're strong in every department. So I think there's a realism as well. This is a good opportunity for us to do well.
It is, absolutely. I mean, it is realistic, but I think generally that we were disappointed. I think it's fair to say that, you know, a semi-final really would be what we would hope for. I'm not going to say expect, because that word is deadly with England, but I think it would be disappointing if we didn't get to a semi-final. Having said that, all that goes out the window if you're playing a France or a Portugal in the last 16, you know, then you could quite easily, sadly to say it, but based on past form, you know, England would get knocked out by any of those teams, because we still are yet not win a knockout game against one of the major players, one of the major powers, incredibly, since 1966. And I know people say Spain at Euro 96, but they weren't a major power then. They hadn't won anything then. They were not part of the elite then. So that record is going to have to go. We've already broken a nice one, which is we've won our first Euros game ever. It's time, isn't it, Carlos, to beat one of the big boys in the knockout stages?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you saw during the Nations League, you know, we were able to beat Croatia, we were able to beat Spain. That was another step in the right direction.
Yes.
That was another step in our development. Now to move forward, like you say, Lee, the next step is to beat one of these big teams with the pedigree at that level of the tournament. That's the step we've got to take. And yeah, it's going to be difficult, because until you get to that stage, you can't test yourself against it. You can't produce an artificial environment in order to test yourself in that. You've got to just go there and deliver on the night, haven't you?
Yeah, and you know, with the very real possibility of penalties. I mean, the one thing about England's record at Wembley is you know, we've never lost in a major tournament, which is basically the World Cup in '66 and Euro '96 in normal or extra time. So you know, that might bode well for England. And now we do seem to have a team that's a good penalty taking team. I believe England have only missed one penalty at a tournament under Southgate. That was Jordan Henderson, if you include the Nations League. It was a remarkable penalty shootout against Switzerland. So, I mean, Southgate has, whatever the criticism he gets, there is a revolution going on under his management of England, isn't there?
Well, yeah, because, you know, he's been part of the process for a long time, and a lot of these players have come through this process from the under-19s, the under-20s, the under-21. It's like I was saying before, they've been schooled in international football. They've been schooled in this mentality, understanding this way of playing, which we've never really had before with other England managers, because they've never really had the longevity or the opportunity to make this happen. So that's one of the things that we do benefit from. It's a bit similar to what Germany did over the years and throughout tournaments.
Yeah, and perhaps a little bit similar to Spain finally getting their act together in the mid 2000s.
I think so. Yeah,
players which were phenomenal. You know, they had this generation of players which were phenomenal. But so do we, according to everybody, not just in England but around Europe. You know, England's players are being, you know, lauded, and you know, the European media ask the same question, like, how, you know, have England not won anything, you know, with the players we've had in the past? But now, you know, surely, you know, this is England's time with home advantage. I'm not sure if it's England's time, as I said, a semi. France, surely, yeah. And computer battles, if you know, put it up in the mind of a computer, then, you know, France at their best are going to win. So, you know, so this Scotland game, Carlos, I mean, you know, form does tend to go a bit out the window, because it's the oldest derby in football, and that could happen. And I think the last time, I'm not sure it was the last time we played, but it was pretty narrow. I think it was 3-2 or 2-2, or I can't remember.
It was 2-2 in the qualification, wasn't it, at Hampden?
Yeah.
And we just managed to get through that, didn't we, with a late goal by Harry Kane. And I mean, that was tough. I mean, they are a tough proposition, Scotland. I mean, let's make no bones about it, particularly in this game. A lot of pride at stake.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned if people are taking this too lightly. That, you know, this is by no means, you know, done deal. I mean, this is Scotland's European Championship final. I mean, that's a cliche as well, but it really is. I mean, then they've really got nothing to lose in a way. I mean, nobody expects them to come down to Wembley and win. So, you know, we underestimate this game at our peril. And, you know, Scotland will be, you know, there's the one phrase you can say, 3 words, up for it. That's what Scotland will be. Correct.
You know, don't underestimate them. You know, they went to Serbia in a qualifier and got through that to get to this stage. So, you know, they've come on a lot, Scotland have, under Steve Clarke. They've got a lot more organised. They're finding ways to win games. I don't think they'll beat England. I think we'll be too strong for them. I think our pace, our movement, will eventually unlock them. And I don't see us losing this game. I hope I haven't put a jinx on it, but I think England will beat them.
Yeah, I would, I would say that the money would be on that. But it could be still a bit of a roller coaster of a ride, and it's it's an unpredictable. It can be an unpredictable fixture. It's a major tournament as well, and we saw 5 years ago in France what a struggle that was against Wales. In fact, perhaps we should be quite impressed that England did beat that Wales side, because they would turn out to be such a good team, and we've seen it again today, of course, with that remarkable victory. So what are you coming down, Carlos? What have you got tickets to see now?
I'll be there for the Czech Republic game, and hopefully I get tickets through the ballot for if we qualify and get through to the knockout stages,
which you fully expect we'll do.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll win the group, and I think it's looking likely that we'll be playing Germany and Portugal in the next round, in the round of 16. Of course, you and Dukesy and myself had an interesting conversation last night about who we'd prefer to get, and I always look at it in not in terms of who's necessarily the best side, but who would suit us the best in terms of system. And only my opinion, I think our best chance would be against Germany.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the majority view as well. It's certainly what the Goldster says as well. I mean, I keep wavering on this. Now it's like German, but there's a little part of me, believe it or not, that would take France, and I'll tell you why. Because they don't have a mental hex over us. We've been quite good at France. They haven't beaten us a major tournament, except I think Euro 2004 in that opening game, and when we had the measure of them really in that game, and Ericsson blundered it by taking Rooney off. I mean, that was a painful game.
I remember that, yeah.
Despite the fact we're saying our players of this generation that they don't have that burden, I still tend to think that when the game comes along, that it's so much on the media, all those meetings with Germany and Portugal, blah blah blah, blah. These players can't help but be absorbed into that. Whereas France, I don't think there's much of a mental burden, and the fact that they probably would be favourites at that game, even at Wembley. I'm just trying to reverse psychology this a little bit. I'm not. I'm putting it out there. I'm not suggesting that this is the best thing to happen.
I mean, obviously what's happened in the past against these teams, of course, is an irrelevance. It's a completely fresh scenario, and like you say, maybe France don't know exactly as much what to expect from us, possibly. I'm still concerned that if we both played to our potential, they've got the edge over us, simply because they've got quality and world-class strength all over the pitch that we don't have. And, I've always said attackers win matches and defenders win tournaments. And I just don't think our defence, with the best will in the world, is at that highest level. And, of course, when you've got these games where the margins are so fine, I just don't think that we'd have enough against France at the very best.
Right. I think that's that brilliantly said. I think what we would be relying upon is a slightly under par France. Maybe Kante being injured for the game might help as well, because he and Mbappe are terrifying, aren't they? When those two are on, I mean, Kante basically just takes the ball off everybody on the opposition, and then Mbappe seems to just be able to create a chance from nothing whenever he's on the ball, and then they can just defend. They're not particularly brilliant to watch. They remind me a little bit of a Germany of old, but they are clinical, and with those two players, I mean, anything's possible, isn't it?
Yeah, they really are as a team. They are a finely tuned, powerful machine with pace, power, technical ability, organisation all over the park, the ability to dictate with Kante in there, and the key word that you said, they are clinical. You know, if you had to put your money on one side, taking a chance when the pressure was on, the money would be on them.
Yeah. And a great manager who has taken away the ill discipline, taken away the lack of focus, and you got to hand it to Deschamps. I mean, what a manager to do that, and he takes absolutely no nonsense from what I've heard about him. But
it's done brilliant to bring it all together into a side that you actually look at 3 years on from the World Cup win. You think, hang on a minute, they're probably even better than they were 3 years ago. They're stars in the ascendancy.
Yeah.
And if you're playing them, you want to be playing them in the final.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we leave that one then and just say let's delete my idea of playing them in the last 16 and just say, okay, let's skip to the final. All right, we can do that. Carlos, we're gonna leave it there because we have a little slot. But please, I want you back after the Scotland game. I'd love to see you, mate. I mean, it's been ridiculous, and hopefully we'll be able to sit side by side and do this properly sometime. But
yeah, be nice to do a post match of the Scotland game when hopefully we've got another 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. But as much as I love that shirt and it reminds me of Gaza and that wonderful summer, remember they did ditch it afterwards. We did have that horror. It's what poor I bet Gareth Southgate wouldn't want to see that shirt, because that was the last kick of that tournament was him missing a penalty in it.
Well, I mean, the other thing, you look at the highlights of those games. Yeah, they do sort of flashback programs about the story of Euro '96 and what have you. And the more and more you watch that Germany game, you think, oh God, the fine margins, how unlucky we were at times in that game. And that's the other thing that you need as well, isn't it? That little bit of luck.
I mean, I look at that. I'm going to talk about that Gaza chance in extra time, and
yes.
I listened to Barry Davis's commentary, and I think the commentary was something like, how did he miss that? And I still don't believe that he missed that. I'm sure it really went in the right universe. I mean,
it was just that moment's hesitation, and also being conscious of staying on side, wasn't it? He didn't want to make the run too early.
That's right. It was the staying on side, of course, but and on such things is history made, right? It's brutal. It can be brutal, and England was so much better in that game and really deserved to win that tournament. But you don't get anything for playing well. What you get, as you said, you defending wins tournaments at the end of the day, and perhaps that might have something to do with it. Carlos, it's been brilliant, mate. I'm so glad to see you. Hopefully see you down there for the Czech Republic game, and we'll back on with you to take us through this tournament. I can't think of anybody better.
Thank you.
All right, mate. I'll speak to you soon, and we shall reconvene. Oh, thank you, everybody. Great to see Carlos back, wasn't it? Just such a great football brain. Always, learn a lot from him. He would be a pretty damn good football manager himself. Until, we'll be back after the Scotland game. We'll probably do a couple of little preview shows live, but the major analysis will come after the Scotland game. It's been a terrific week of football. We've had probably the game of the tournament, Wales versus Turkey. Congratulations to them, and stay with us. The only place for Euro 2020 is Gadsby's England. And by the way, please hit subscribe below on YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube. Facebook.com/Gadsby's England. Go to our Twitter, which is just Gadsby's England, no apostrophe or anything. Instagram, Gadsby's England, and Gadsby'sEngland.com. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon. It's late, but it's here. Euro 2020 in 2021, and Gadsby's England is still the place to come for all your England news throughout the tournament. Follow the drama, the ups and the downs. There's going to be plenty of them. Euro 2020 on Gadsby's England.